welcome to this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. My special guest today, the Executive Director of Destination Downtown, Amanda Everitt. How you doing?
Hi there. I'm doing great. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm trying to stay warm.
Good,
like
good,
everybody
good.
else.
Oh, yeah, but it's winter.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, do you like winter?
I do. I love the change in seasons.
Because you're from Canada.
I am from Canada, so I think winter is magical.
So this is light snow, really, to you? I mean,
I like to tease that this is nothing. But honestly, I'm from the Toronto area. So it's actually not that much different.
Really?
No, so it's maybe a few degrees colder, and we get a little bit more lake effect snow. But other than that, this year we've had more snow in Ohio, but it's pretty much the same this year as it would be in southern Ontario. So, yeah.
I learned something today.
There you go.
I was thinking piles and piles of snow. And
well, I mean, it's a pretty big country, so I was just in an area that's just not that much more north.
So how long have you been in the States, I guess?
I tell you what, I've been in the States for quite a long time. I have been in the States since I was 16 years old, so I won't do the math for you. But a long time.
Well, we are glad to have you here. We're glad
Thank you.
You're here and part of the community, and you've been doing a lot of things, and you've just now taken over the Destination Downtown?
Yeah, just 2 full months, I think. I started at the end of October, had the opportunity to shadow the former executive director, Mayor David Scheffler now. He took over as mayor of our fair city. And so, yeah, just kind of got started, but it's something I've always been passionate about. You and I have talked about that. Yep. I live downtown, used to work downtown when I was with United Way of Fairfield County, and now I'm back, so I'm absolutely loving it.
So what brought you to it? I mean, what was the one thing that Dave said other than, hey, you'd be perfect for this? What was the...
my husband and I volunteer with Destination Downtown Lancaster, and we have 5 boys, and again, we live downtown.
Wow.
We do. We've got 5 boys, and so 4 of them are still living with us, and they're teenagers or preteens, and they're at that age where they want to be active and doing things, and they're always running around. And there's also that reality of they're going to go to college. Hopefully, they're going to go to college, and we want them to go and experience the world.
Sure.
But then you always want your kids to come back, and you want them to have those memories and those connections with their community. And so the downtown is the heart of where that happens, and they're little downtown rats. Sure, so they love running around to Diamond Jim's Pizza Place or Art and Clay to grab a smoothie with their friends. And so those
smoothies are really good.
They are really good.
I get hooked on watermelon.
Oh, see, there you go. So we have a real personal investment. We're personally invested in trying to make sure that the revitalization of our downtown continues, and that's where we like to hang out and be with our friends. That's where we like to connect with community. And so it just seems like a natural. I was always trying to get other people to move around, to move back into the urban center. Come back from the suburbs, and so it seemed just really, really natural. And David is a wonderful mentor, so I think it's a great fit.
There are so many things going on. I know websites or phone numbers that people want information. What's the easiest thing to do?
I tell you what, one of the most wonderful ways to stay connected with what's happening in your downtown is to like us on Facebook. So look for Destination Downtown Lancaster on your Facebook page. Social media is a great way. We're constantly updating that with what's going on in the downtown area. And then our website is pretty easy to remember. It's www.destinationdowntownlancaster.com. So if you can't remember that, there's a problem.
There are there's so many things going on. What's the planning process? Take me through a typical day, a week for you. There's just so much stuff going on. How do you control it?
Well, from an event perspective, when we have our members, they do a great job within our Destination Downtown Lancaster footprint of letting us know what's happening. And then I have to give a big shout out to my program coordinator, or my program director, Michelle Stortz, because she really manages all those fine details of the events. So she's making sure that advertisements are going out on social social media. We have a weekly newsletter that people can sign up for. We have over 3,000 people that access information off of that newsletter. And so you can find out what kind of music is being played at what restaurants on what nights. If there are any theater productions happening, that's something wonderful. We live in a community that embraces the arts. We have 5 wonderful museums downtown. We've also got wonderful local theater groups that are constantly putting on wonderful performances. So there's so many different things going on that aren't necessarily DDL events, but that are happening within our DDL footprint. And so that membership, when you become a member of Destination Downtown Lancaster, we are able to market those for you and kind of coordinate those efforts amongst the merchants and the restaurateurs and the different theater groups and arts groups and museums. That's pretty great.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you also have a board that you report to? Or
correct. Yeah. I actually have 2 boards. Lucky me.
Oh, lucky you.
Destination Downtown Lancaster is the board that sort of manages the strategies and goals of the organization. But they're able to do that because of our wonderful SID board, Special Improvement District. So the Special Improvement District was created many years ago, and they pay an assessment on the frontage of their buildings that they have within the Special Improvement District. But they also understand that a thriving downtown goes far beyond that, and one must support the surrounding businesses as well, and the revitalization and the growth and development of those areas. So a lot of our funding comes from the Special Improvement District assessment. And so I report to the SID board on a quarterly basis. And then we have monthly Destination Downtown Lancaster board meetings as well.
Oh, that's a lot of activity.
It's a lot of activity.
The biggest challenge that Amanda faces?
Oh, I tell you what, there are a lot of different, I don't even know if I could properly identify the biggest challenge. There are multiple challenges, but I like to think of them as opportunities. So we have a lot of opportunities to slow traffic on Main Street. We have opportunities to attempt to maybe naturally get trucks off of Main Street. We have opportunities to fill storefronts with meaningful businesses that make sense, that can work well together, that are providing the variety of things that our community members want. We want to have a vibrant community that has nightlife, that respects our rich history and culture, that celebrates the arts, and also allows us to take care of our day-to-day business. And the executive directors that have come before me have done a wonderful job of laying that groundwork. I think we were talking on the way in, it's almost like a Tetris game now. We have an opportunity to be strategic and really look at the evolution of downtown and where we want to be in the next 5 to 10 years.
I know the renovation of the Shaw building and all those things have are there other plans? I mean, you don't have to tell us, but I mean, things in the works right now that you're thinking, boy, if all these go together, this is going to be great.
Oh, absolutely. And then, I've every day I go to bed and I get so excited because I might have something, working on the side, and there are things that are public as well. Obviously, everyone knows about Brad Hutchinson and the Midoff Companies and his incredible renovation of the Midoff Hotel, as well as the Old Mill Event Center.
That should be open soon, right?
Their very first event will be what a great segue. You're good at this. You should do this all the time. Is our annual gathering on Thursday, January 25th. And that is our annual meeting, and also an opportunity to look back at 2017 and celebrate the successes. But it will also be a sneak peek into 2018. So that's huge that we have this beautifully renovated space, event space, high-end event space. But then when you think about the retail spaces that are going to go into the bottom floor of the Midoff, and that's going to be in the spring, that's incredibly exciting.
I mean, it's just, so the event coming up, up that's going to be at the old mill. Tickets, people show up. What's the easiest way?
Well, you can absolutely show up. There are tickets that are available. You can register. There are no physical tickets, but you can go online again on our Facebook page or on our website and register and pay online. If you are a Destination Downtown Lancaster member, the ticket price is $20 per person, and if you're not a member, they're $25 per person. There'll be a cash bar, and there'll also be heavy hors d'oeuvres provided by Main Street Bistro, which is wonderful. Mike Cotter always does a wonderful job. So we like to utilize our downtown business owners, and that's one that a lot of people don't realize is in our footprint because it's a little bit of an outlier at the corner of Main and Maple Street there, but he's absolutely within our DDL footprint.
And again, the date for the bistro?
For the annual gathering, Thursday, January 25th, and that's from 5:30. It begins at 5:30. There'll be networking from 5:30 to 6:30, and then we'll get started with our programming.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of stuff going on. It's when you compare yourselves or you look at other opportunities for other locations, how far do you go? I mean, do you go to like California and New York and look at small towns and say, boy, we ought to do this?
Oh, absolutely.
Steal ideas is what
I don't call it stealing. I say, why recreate the wheel? But it is. I think it's very important when you need to look at similar sized communities and reach out to your counterparts in those communities and find out what's working for you. What did you try? What obstacles did you run into? You know, no two communities are the same, but there's a lot of value in reaching out and learning from those who've been where you are before.
Right. You mentioned a couple things about the logistics in downtown. Obviously, 3322. Does that become not a barrier, but because you have to work with the state?
Absolutely.
I know Paul Martin in the downtown group do an excellent job. I mean, they do.
We're so lucky to have partners at the city level, at the county level, who are working towards the same goals with us. We're very lucky. When I do reach out to my counterparts in other communities, not everyone has that type of collaborative spirit that we have here in Lancaster. So we're able to be much more efficient and pool resources to make sure that we're all working towards the same goal much more easily because we do have those strategic partners within the city and the county. So we're very lucky about that. There are a lot of those big things that need to be addressed, but sometimes it's just the smaller things too, from a development perspective. And it's placemaking. It's getting people to understand, that making places feel good, making sure that people are experiencing spaces in ways that they might not have thought to experience them. It's very important. Trees, flower plots, plantings, facades of buildings. Right. It's not just good enough anymore to have a product or to have great food. People want the whole experience.
We were talking about just building. You talk about facades of building, and people always say, well, this building hasn't been touched, this building hasn't been touched. How much authority do you have in that, or is it just a landlord it's up to them to do it? Or?
Well, I don't have any authority. I am a resource. I think of my Destination Downtown Lancaster, we're a resource, and what I can provide then is I can work with code enforcement and the building owners to set them up for success, but also to hold them accountable because we do have some properties that need a little love, so to speak. So what are your barriers? Because I do think there's a responsibility when you purchase a building, when you own a building in historic downtown Lancaster, if you do not have the resources to make sure that you're maintaining that building, then you really shouldn't have that building. And you need to let it go because there are so many wonderful folks that are passionate about historic preservation and that are passionate about urban development that will put in that extra work. It's very different than, and no offense to businesses out on 80 Road, that's an important piece to our economic fabric within our community. But, go get something new on 80 Road. But it takes a special type of business person who does love those old buildings and understand why they're important.
And I think that was a question that somebody asked me. They said, well, doesn't DDL, aren't they responsible for that? And I said, well, I'm talking to Amanda Friday, so they have it out there.
Code enforcement, and I tell you what, our wonderful Sean Fowler with code enforcement, I know he's very, very busy, but I also know that it's a priority right now, and it's been kind of stepped up on that priority list to make sure that we are holding those business owners accountable. And again, I work closely with the city government to make sure that we're addressing those issues, and that is a priority of ours for 2018.
And another question that someone asked, and I said, well, I'll ask her. And I haven't experienced this, but people always talk about parking.
Yeah.
But you've done there's a map on the web. There's all sorts of directions. There's and there are a lot of places to park. But I know that during the day it might get a little bit.
So what's interesting, and this is actually, you talk about talking to your counterparts in other communities, parking is always in the top 5 complaints of every single downtown community. And it's so interesting because, I like to think that we don't necessarily have a parking problem. We might have a walking problem. And it's that mindset as well. And so when you think about if you're going to get a gallon of milk at Kroger and you pull in and you get a decent spot, you think, oh, I got a really good spot at Kroger. And if you were to count your steps, how many steps it took you to get to your gallon of milk, you would find that you have to change your mindset because you're probably going to take half as many steps going to your destination downtown. But it's that mindset. If I can't pull right up in front of the business where I wish to go, then you think, oh, there's no parking. So think outside of the box. And it's also about managing expectations. I think we need to address signage so that we can let people know where there is open parking. If people know, okay, I'm going downtown and I'm going to check here and here, and then I'm going to check here. A lot of times it's about managing those expectations. If they know where to look and then they find parking, they know they're going to have to walk a half a block. It's a little bit different. They feel better about it.
But with special events, even then, you know it's going to be crowded. So why don't you just park a little bit farther away? And I understand elderly and those type of things. I absolutely understand.
Absolutely. We're sensitive to that. And we again, our Lancaster City does a great job. And Tim Dietz with the Streets Department does an amazing job. We actually just addressed an issue on South Broad Street where one of our business owners was concerned that they didn't have enough handicap parking in a strip along Broad Street. And within 48 hours, he came and analyzed the situation. It's not, he doesn't just take anecdotal data. He really looked at it, analyzed, said we can absolutely do one more. Within 48 hours. We had a handicapped spot available on that strip, which, that just impresses me that we have such great partners.
That's what, don't you find it, refreshing, and you touched on it earlier about working with City Hall and working with the county, that everybody is on pretty much the same page, and how do we do this? And
even when there are disagreements, even when we don't necessarily agree on how we get somewhere, we all love Lancaster, and I think that's what I love most about this community. Even the people that I can debate with till the cows come home, there's something wonderful about being surrounded by community members who all have that same passion and who all love Lancaster and want to see it move forward. We might have different ideas about how we get there, but there's still that same passion, and I think that's what makes this community so special.
Green space on 22 and 33, right on the corner across from the JFS building, community building.
Yes, correct. Where the old Lancaster glass.
Correct, yeah.
Yes.
What would Amanda like to put there?
What would I? Well, I tell you what, there are a couple of different things that I would love to have there. I'm certainly open to a lot of ideas. I would love to see a boutique hotel in that space. I'd love a mixture of commercial and residential space. We have a great need for more residential space in downtown. We've created this wonderful walkable community. The suburban sprawl is over. Right. That's what's happening all across the country. People are moving back to their urban centers, especially millennials. Your younger folks want to live in a walkable community, but now we don't have enough space for them to live to let them walk to all these wonderful places that we've created. So, those are just my dreams, but I I think that definitely within the next couple of years, you're going to see some action on that space. And I think that the community will be, the different ideas that have been tossed around have all been things that the community would appreciate.
And people ask all the time, well, when's that going to be developed? When's it going to be? I mean, it's just time. It's going to take some time to do.
Well, it's, Wagenbrenner owns that site right now, and so there have to be negotiations as far as purchasing the land. It is ready to be sold now. There was a time when it had to be cleared, and now it's been cleared by the EPA. The soil is wonderful, and it can be purchased. So if anybody out there, has a couple bucks in their pocket and they want to buy a wonderful piece of land on the corner of Main Street and Memorial Drive, call me.
Absolutely. If someone is interested is there a process? I know there's the land bank and there's all sorts of things. Talk a little bit about just economic development downtown. What processes people would have to go through?
Well, I tell you what, and that's where those strategic partners come into play again, and why I feel so lucky to have Mike Pettit as our Lancaster City Economic Development Director. That man knows his stuff, which is great because I'm still on a learning curve.
Well, the good thing, and I worked with Mike for years. I worked with him for years, and he's willing to listen. And, we could do that. Yeah,
he's willing to listen and he's willing to help. He has also been a wonderful mentor and friend, and he does his job and does his job very well. He's got that quiet way about him. So if you ever think that Mike's not, where's everybody else would be like, oh my gosh, we're doing this and we're doing this. Mike's like, but trust me, he's working 10 times harder than anybody realized.
Yep, absolutely.
And Mike gets stuff done. And then we've got Rick Zabrak as well, the Fairfield County Economic Development Director. So you've got two wonderful advocates for our community that understand what it takes to take us to the next level, that work together. And so I really count on both of those guys when it comes to dealing with business owners, potential landowners, and companies coming in to our downtown footprint.
What project would Amanda like to see? We're bringing restaurants in. We've got Ohio Glass Museum. We've got Art and Clay. What would Amanda like to see downtown? That would look good right over there.
More trees.
More trees?
More trees. Tons and tons and tons more trees.
Really?
So trees do a lot of things. Trees are pretty much the answer to everything, in my opinion. Mike Tharp from the Parks Department, we like to chat about this. Trees raise your property value when they're in front of your home, in front of your business. They provide shade, so people linger longer in downtown areas and urban areas when there are trees. When you can have trees planted down the middle of your roadways, it naturally slows traffic. So cars slow down, which is a great thing, which is what we want to have. And it's just pretty. It drives people into your areas because it smells good, it feels good, it looks good. And again, that's that holistic way of looking at how we get people to come downtown, make it an actual destination, and keep them there.
That's interesting.
Trees answer to everything.
Answer to everything. Well,
yeah.
I know we've got just a few minutes left, but future plans for Amanda in downtown. Long range down the road that you could share. Obviously.
Sure, absolutely. We've got. I've got some exciting news. I know a lot of people have been waiting for O'Hood's, the Gaelic pub, to open up on the corner of Main and Columbus. And everybody, I always tease if I had a nickel for every time somebody said, when's O'Hood's opening up? I wouldn't have to work anymore. But I was just speaking with the Hood family, Judy and Keith, and their son Nick, and they are going to be open in February. So that's the goal. That's the goal. And I know that it keeps changing. I'm so sorry, but I know it keeps changing. But we call that agility. And then the other one is Maria's Mexican restaurant, Maria's Cantina, in the old lodge space.
Oh, yes.
And I just spoke with Chico this week, and that is going to be, they're shooting for a March 1st opening.
How many phone calls do you get that say, well, why don't we have one of these down? Why don't we have one of these? Why don't we have this food? Why don't we
Oh yeah, you get that all the time. You get that all the time. But again, I look at that as people who love Lancaster and they want to see certain things down there.
Well, you're doing a lot of stuff, and in your spare time, you're going to be doing an MC at a wedding.
Oh yeah, we've got Wedding Fest coming up this weekend, and that is kind of neat because that's at the Masonic Lodge, which is on South High Street, and a lot of people have never been inside the Masonic Lodge, myself included.
I have.
So you have?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm super excited about that. But we're doing the confectionery, the wonderful little bakery on South Columbus, along with weddings, etc. The wedding planner and bridal gown shop, they have collaborated and they're bringing in dozens and dozens of vendors. And so that's going to be at the Masonic Lodge. Check it out on Facebook.
When is it?
It's on Sunday, January, I think it's the 21st. It's this coming Sunday. And it starts at from 2:30 to 5:30.
Cost to get in? Just show up?
No, it's free. Come and get wonderful samples of baked goods.
Wow.
And I'll be emceeing the fashion show portion. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's, so you enjoy doing that?
Oh, I love it. I emceed the BPW Women's Fashion Show for a couple of years now, and it's a hoot. You know, I like to have fun.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's again the 21st, which is coming up this Sunday.
Yeah, on Sunday.
Well, I mean, it's been great having you here. I mean,
Well, thanks for
the time
having me.
has absolutely flown by. And one more time, website, phone number.
Yeah, website is www.destinationdowntownlancaster.com. Again, I encourage you to like us on Facebook, and our telephone number at the office is 740-277-6607.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Amanda Everitt, the Executive Director of Destination Downtown, has been our guest today. We appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Sharing information with us.
Anytime.
Just super. It's been good seeing you. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. Remember, until we meet again, let's make a difference.